Il progresso è un'attitudine, è scegliere una direzione, fare un passo, poi un altro e un altro ancora. Fatica che diventa nuova energia. Noi di Hyundai crediamo che il progresso sia avere un impatto positivo. Non è una strada facile, è una sfida continua e noi siamo pronti a superarla insieme. E tu? Hai già deciso quale sarà il tuo prossimo passo? Hyundai, Run to Progress.
It's known as the City of the Sun, and you can see why. The city is bathed in glorious Mediterranean sunshine.
Apre ufficialmente l'Expo della Napoli City Marathon 2025.
Ready to people. Well, there were record numbers in the field this year, back to around 7,000.
Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti da Napoli per questa edizione della Napoli City Half Marathon 2025.
Napoli mi aspettava, quanto io aspettavo Napoli e tutta la gente, tutto quanto, adoro Napoli.
Napoli City, vai!
101 nazioni partenti, veramente una corsa mondiale si può proprio dire. Tutto è pronto, pochi minuti e sarà il via per questa grande avventura, per questa grande volata. Eccoli, via, partiti, la grande competizione, la Napoli City Half Marathon 2025 prende il via. Buona gara a tutti. Che spettacolo, vedere tutta questa gente che parte.
It's a massive personal event. A racer in the latter stages and victory for the 12th edition of the Napoli Half Marathon 59:41.
Sono Yeman Kripa, come vedete sono qua in Kenya ad allenarmi in altura per il mio prossimo grande obiettivo, la COELMO Napoli City Half Marathon, 22 febbraio, dove 4 anni fa ho fatto il mio record italiano 59-26. Cerchiamo di divertirci, di correre insieme. Napoli è la capitale europea dello sport 2026. Mi raccomando, ci vediamo lì, bisogna correre forte e appuntamento sulle strade di Napoli.
Hello and welcome to the 13th COELMO Napoli Half Marathon. It's a glorious Sunday morning in Napoli, or Naples as we call it as the city of the sun, as well as the birthplace of pizza. The city is the European capital of sport this year, but this race has got a reputation over the last dozen years as the self-styled Italian capital of the half marathon, and justifiably so, as it has hosted both current men's and women's Italian half marathon records. And at the front of the record entry of over 10,000 runners today, up from 7,000 last year, we're expecting fabulous racing and possibly more records. Well, before the runners take centre stage, the week here in Naples began with a moment of pride and leadership. On Wednesday, the city hosted the official press conference of the Napoli municipality, where race founder Carlo Capaldo joined the city's leaders and representatives of the Italian army. It set the tone beautifully, showcasing unity, commitment, and the passion behind making this one of Europe's standout half marathons. Yesterday morning, well, the elite field had their final tune-up along Naples' stunning coastline. It was a relaxed but focused session with Carlo Capalbo on site, encouraging the athletes and guiding them in certain respects, especially Italy's star Iman Crippa, who carries high hopes for today. A perfect backdrop, perfect conditions, and athletes who look absolutely ready. Saturday wasn't just about the elites, though. Naples celebrated running at every level with the family run. Around 1,500 people took part. Families, children, first-timers, all enjoying a joyful, non-competitive 2-kilometre event around the Mostra Oltremare Expo area. This event brings a whole community together. Here's a look at that wonderful morning. The astonishing Cedra fountain, the largest in Naples, created the perfect backdrop with its 40-metre high jets. And of course, the beating heart of race weekend has been the COELMO Napoli Half Marathon Expo Village. Over 20,000 visitors filled the halls across 2 days. An incredible atmosphere packed with energy, music, and excitement. More than 10,000 runners collected their bibs here, gearing up for today's race, one that has grown some 40% since last year, as word spreads that this glorious city hosts a race on a fast course that's well organised and which can furnish a personal best as well as a joyous experience. Well, let's take a look at the course of the Napoli Half Marathon. It starts at the highest point on Viale JF Kennedy. And there, although it goes over the hill in this guide around the course, they actually go through a tunnel there about 800 metres long, the Galleria Laziale, and then follow the coast along the Gulf of Naples, past Castel dell'Ovo on a small island of Megaride, out towards the port area, the great economic driver for Italy's third largest city, where they make a couple of U-turns. They're heading south on that peninsula as they had Mount Vesuvius in their sights and Pompeii not too many kilometers away before they turn back to the coast road and head on to the return journey along the past Molossilio Gardens, Molossilio Harbour, a small harbour, back towards the castle, and then through the tunnel again a second time there. They really don't go over that hill. And then the sprint and a little bit of a climb up towards that finish line on Viale JF Kennedy. Well, it will be fast. The race start is due off in about 5 minutes. Conditions absolutely perfect. You can see the elite athletes there, very high caliber, men's and women's elite fields just limbering up with about 4 minutes to go. They're all looking forward to this because they know this is a record-setting course. And conditions, well, look at that. The pictures speak for themselves. It's about 11 or 12 degrees. We are told that it will climb through the morning. But local time, the gun is due to go off at 9 a.m. That's in about 3 minutes. So, yes, it's early morning on the Mediterranean in one of the most glorious cities in Italy. And frankly, when you can say that, you have to say one of the most glorious cities in the world. The Partenope pace team will get all the masses around safely as they wait patiently behind the line there. They've got guide paces that you can choose to follow from 1 hour 24 through to 2 hours 30. But the course has been extended, as being open for up to 3.5 hours. So more runners are welcome. And of course, there is even a walking program as well for the masses. However, we will be focusing upon the elite athletes in the main. A massive domestic clash in the men's race between the co-course record holder Yaman Crippa, holds many Italian records on the track and the roads, and Pietro Riva, coming back from injury, the only other Italian to ever have gone under 60 minutes on the men's side. And the women's race, well, it's a truly international affair. Several Kenyans, there's Danes, Finns, Ukrainians, Germans, French and Czechs involved in that women's elite race. It has made very, very steady progress in recent years in terms of its international profile, this event, and it's one in which I would encourage all runners to go to and do at least once, because Naples, where I holidayed some 5 years or so ago for a week, is a quite magnificent city. It's steeped in history. Every aspect, every twist and turn in the city, there is something truly magnificent. It's the capital of the Campania region, of course. Founded by the Greeks, actually, is Naples, Italy's third largest city. And we are just about ready to go. Under starters' orders, they've got about 1.5 minutes or so to go. Looks like they will be on start on time. I think that's Crippa right in the centre of that front rank in the all-red strip and dark glasses. What stands breaking is his consistency. He doesn't come to the start line of any competition unless he's ready to go. And he is ready to go. Engines revving then for this 13th edition of the COELMO Napoli Half Marathon. Yaman Crippa. Brian Kwemoi Kirui will be a major competitor, the best of the Kenyans in the men's race. Pietro Riva. Here we go. 1 minute to go. And look at those trees by the start line. Not a breath of wind coming off the Mediterranean or from inland. It is absolutely perfect. There are pacemakers, of course. Let's hope they get their job done well as they plan to head out at course record tempo. The course record for the men, 59.26, under 60 minutes. That's a special category. And in the women's race, 66.47 by Viola Cheptu of Kenya. That is vulnerable as well. Such tension in the air. The athletes waiting for that gun, and then the release of energy. Away they go then. Crippa gets away really well. And the pace, of course, through the early meters, much faster than they will be able to average. There is a very slight downhill slant to this opening few hundred meters, and very quickly they will reach the tunnel, the Galleria Laziale, which passes through a big hill and gets them out onto the coast, and where they will see the Bay of Naples. And will you believe that that tunnel that they will run through is a modern road tunnel, but adjacent to it is an old Roman tunnel. Yes, the Romans built tunnels through massive hills just for convenience sake, which is now used by pedestrians. Well, that's the first wave underway. There will be more waves to come. Of course, the advantage of allowing waves onto the route is that it spreads the athletes out along the course, and it takes the pressure off the water stations and the feed stations and the medical stations and so on along the route. If you just let all 10,000 pour onto the route straight away, you can imagine you could get blockages and concertinaing and some real problems. But all big races nowadays allow for mass starts to be broken into different waves. So they negotiate those couple of quick turns in 1.5 minutes on the clock. And still, I think I can see Cripper towards the front there, waiting for the pacemakers to get up alongside him. The pacer actually is Gideon Kiprotich-Rop. There were two. One has had to drop out with illness. But Gideon Kiprotich-Rop is a 58.49 half marathon runner himself. Did that in Rome last year. So he's a very high caliber half marathon racer himself, the pacemaker. There is Rop, left of picture. And Crippa, the race favorite perhaps, right behind him. And very quickly, this elite pack separates itself from the rest. We're down to about 10 athletes. In fifth place there, you can see the tall figure of Pietro Riva, the 28-year-old Italian. His personal best, 59.41, some 15 seconds or so slower than Crippa, who set the Italian record when he last raced here, and he won back in 2022, 4 years ago, almost to the day. But Crippa there in the dark glasses is a fierce competitor now. He's got a great range. He's a world-class man in the middle distances. He's run a 3:52 mile. He's run a fast marathon as well. He's run 2:06 for a marathon. That was in Seville last year. It was an Italian national record, but Chiappinelli in Valencia last year ran 2:05, a little bit quicker, and that's a pending Italian record. But look how quickly this pack, 2, 4, 6, 8. It is exactly 10 strong. Has separated itself from the rest. Owen Kapkama there to right of picture. He's in about 5th place. He's just 19 years old, the Kenyan. He lost the Seville half marathon by 1 second just 3 weeks ago. He won't want to make that mistake again. His personal best, as I say, 3 weeks ago, 60.25. But this looks like a very, very healthy pace indeed. I'll give you splits as quickly as I can. They're on 4 minutes, 14 seconds now. And I suspect their first kilometre was way inside the required pace. So the men, to hit 59.10, 59.20 territory, need each kilometre to be around 2:48, 2 minutes 48, 2 minutes 49 seconds. That race record they're chasing, remember, 59.26. Pacemakers, well, their responsibility is absolutely huge because it's down to them to get the pace judgment right, lay down the early tempo at a nice steady pace, not go out too fast, not drag the field out at a tempo that they can't possibly maintain and which would tire them too much for the latter stages, but not to go out too cautiously either and spoil the chance of a fast time. But I just get the feeling, and you can see a good impression of the slight downhill slant here as they enter the tunnel, the Galleria Laziale. You get a good idea of this downslope, and when they come out of the tunnel, they'll be almost down at sea level. Crippa, by the way, has been training for the last month in Kenya. Training very well, and we understand has become very good friends with Brian Kirui Kwemoi, who is right up in that lead group as well. They've been training together, and he says everything's gone superbly well. And he is looking for a personal best after that win here in 2022. And actually, his great friend and training partner Kwemoi won here in 2024. In exactly the same time as Crippa had managed 2 years earlier. 59.26. So how about that for symmetry? Mind you, that 59.26 for COELMO in 2024 to 9th in Kenya. Such is the astonishing depth of distance running in Kenya. The East Africans, of course, dominate world distance running. The Kenyans, the Ethiopians, the Tanzanians, the Eritreans, the Ugandans. It's just a production line of them these days from East Africa that the rest of the world have to try and contend with. Well, back at the start, look at this. Glorious scenes for those who are good standard club runners, or maybe for some who just want to get round and enjoy their journey around this rather special city. As pacers going through, you can see the 140 flags that they wear. Those are usually attached to backpacks that they wear. And it will climb, the temperature will climb. It's about 12 degrees now. You can see a few gloves and hats out there, but I suspect a lot of those will be discarded over the next hour or two. Many of these athletes will be hoping to run around 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40. And it is such a smooth operation now behind this race. Run Check, the organisers of this race since the inaugural edition back in 2014. Their motto is all runners are beautiful. And that is so, so true. Back to these elite, though, out of the tunnel. And moving very, very nicely now. And there you can see the suggestions of the ocean. They emerge into the Mergellina district. Take a little zigzag here. And then they're onto the coast road now. And the pacemaker, well, what a good job he's doing by the looks of things. Gideon Kipetich-Rop. He ran 3 half marathons last year, Rop. Personal best, he was 8th in Berlin. Oh, sorry, he was 8th in Berlin in 61.25. 8th in Valencia. Those both coming after his personal best when he won in Rome. So he likes racing in Italy, doesn't he? Although he's only pacing today in preparation for a marathon, I think, in the spring marathon season. And there's the leading ladies going through. Regina Chettu in there, along with Lucy and Nelly Jeptu. That trio expected to be some distance ahead of the rest. A little pack of elite women there. Look like 5 or 6 of them, but the Kenyans we anticipate will separate themselves from the rest. Back to this men's race, and aren't they shifting well? Wow. Well, Crippa, fascinating character. Moved to Italy in 2003, having been born in Ethiopia. Adopted by his father, Roberto, with 2 sisters. And then 2 years later, Roberto, who is a bit of a star, the father, he adopted 3 more brothers to add to the Crippa family. And then in 2008, another one joined the Swiling family. And Crippa, well, he's responded magnificently. Such a family man. His father must be one of the proudest in Italy. When he ran here 2 years ago, he said it was his second, back in 2022, 4 years ago. He said that Naples was his second marathon. We think it was his first, but he said it was his second. But he's only done 3 before today. However, he is, Crippa there, in the red, left a picture, in the all red. He is the reigning European champion at the half marathon in Rome 2 years ago at the European Championships. He won the half marathon title, won the gold in 61.03 by 1 second from a certain Pietro Riva. And Riva is in this little pack. This is a huge domestic clash of world-class quality, it has to be said. He lost that European title, Pietro Riva, by 1 second, and he would dearly love to gain some revenge over Crippa here today. Spent much of last year injured, did Riva. Coached by Stefano Baldini, by the way. Pietro Riva, The Olympic champion in the marathon in 2004 in Athens. Remember that one? Sweltering heat of Athens. Well, he moved to Ribeiro in central northern Italy to be near Baldini, did Riva. He's made the ultimate commitment, changed his lifestyle dramatically, and is in very good shape, we understand. After the problems of last year, he's been training really well and is preparing for an April marathon, Pietro Riva. This, though, his second race after a low-key run-out over 15 kilometers 3 weeks ago. This is his second race in over 11 months. There's that leading group of women. And we are down to 2, goodness me. Regina Cheptu, I think that is on the far side. Dambuki, I think, on the near side, with the 3 male athletes. The pacemaker for them is Abdi Hassan from the Netherlands, hoping to take the women round at 7 to 67.30 pace. Now, you might remember I told you that the women's course record is 66.47. We think that might be beyond the elite women today, but we hope to be wrong. We hope to be wrong on that one. We hope that they will go quicker and threaten that women's course record set by Viola Cheptu 6 years ago. Cheptu that day, by the way, just an indication of how special her run was. She won by 70 seconds. She was relatively new to the road racing scene then, but she's now a marathon star. And the Naples race, I think we can justifiably say, launched her career. Well, a left turn away there, away from the coast momentarily, and then a little right. A swing right. And corners like that, where it's a gentle curve, don't slow the athletes down. It's when they have to make U-turns that it gets awkward. And there is just one awkward U-turn on this course, so it's a very, very quick course. Now, you remember a little while ago I said there was a pack of 10. I think that's been reduced down to about 8, hasn't it? Yeah, you can see figures in the background there easing away. Nearly 14. There's the 5K point, and they go past that in 13:57. That is quick. That is brilliant. That is very, very encouraging indeed. They've taken advantage of the downhill, taken advantage of the really good conditions this morning. Unofficially then, 13:57, and that is sub 59-minute tempo. That is quick. That is super quick. They're on schedule for about 58:50. Brilliant stuff. And athletes with the experience of Crippa, who is 29 years old, Pietro Riva is 28, Kirui Quemo 6, got plenty of experience between them. They don't generally get the pace wrong. They wouldn't head out at too quick a tempo and suffer in the latter stages. So this is really promising. Mkulia Kipkandi in there as well. 30-year-old. Very little information available on him. He's only raced the half marathon, nothing else. His personal best was his debut last September when he won in Krems, Austria, and ran 59:48. So 4 athletes in this race have broken 60 minutes. And we understand that Owen Correa Kapkama, whose best is 60:25, not far off sub 60, the 19-year-old. His coach says he's in fabulous shape, as indeed does Claudio Berardelli, the coach of Andrea Kiptu, another man in this leading pack, the 23-year-old Kenyan Kiptu. Claudio Berardelli, very, very successful coach. Coaches Sawe, the world #1 in the marathon last year, and he says that Kiptu, whose best is 61:30, is ready for a massive run here. What a morning it is on the Bay of Naples. And by the way, yeah, there's music everywhere on this course. Umpteen music points along the route. It's not one of the rock and roll series, but it could be. such as the fabulous atmosphere that's generated. Well, 16:18 on the clock. And almost single file for this lead pack. And that is quick. And the Riva, Pietro Riva, about 10 meters down. So at around 5K, 5.5K, Riva is having to ease back on the throttle because the tempo up front is so aggressive. This could be a special day for Yaman Kripa. And I know there's one school of thought that believes that this is the sweet spot for Kripa this distance. He's a world-class 5,000 and 10,000 meter runner on the track, but this is not 10K, it's 21K. It's a long way, it's the upper end of Kripa's range. And there's one school of thought that thinks that the marathon maybe doesn't really suit Kripa. Now that's strange to say when he's run 2:06, but when you extrapolate from that time from old days when there weren't the new technology in the shoes, that's probably worth about 2:09. I think most people now acknowledge that the shoe tech in the special footwear that so many brands produce, as well as one or two other technological advances, have given the athletes at least 3 minutes in the marathon. So maybe Kripa is not built for marathon, and maybe this is his best distance, the half marathon. Will today be another victorious day for Kripa? Back to this women's race. And are there two? Oh, we've got separation already. Really early separation. And that is, in the women's race, that is Lucy and Thenya Dambuki who leads. And she's got a gap on Regina Cheptu in the background. Gets her drink there. Gets water early on, 18 minutes on the clock. Generally speaking, water and fueling during half marathons isn't considered as nearly as important as in a marathon. But here she goes through, and that is quite a big gap. That's about 25 meters between and Cheptu. Dambuki's best, 68.58. That was just in September when she was 10th in the Copenhagen half marathon up in Denmark. Incredibly, though, Dambuki, she's a bizarre athlete. She ran 10 half marathons last year. She won 7 of them. Now, most of them were small races, but she won in Geneva and Nice and Aosta in Italy and Jakarta and Borobudur and Jakarta again. She won 2 half marathons in Jakarta. She won in Macau most recently on the 7th of December in 72 minutes, where I suspect it was very hot and humid. But her BB and her personal best in Copenhagen was a personal best by just 1 second. And that was after a 68.59 to win that Geneva race last year, back in May. Tiny figure, isn't she? And she's tucked in behind these pacemakers, almost slipstreaming. I mean, this is ideal for those 3 male athletes, by the way, is officially a pacemaker. It's the tall figure in white, nearest the camera, Abdi Hassan. He just checked his watch. But of course, for other good standard, national standard runners, good club runners, if they know that a male pacemaker for the women's field is going to go out at about 67.5 minutes, and that is their target, well, they're perfectly entitled to exploit that pacemaker for their own purposes. And that's what they're doing here. And in doing so, actually, sometimes you get a big pack of men taking that advantage, and it becomes a bit of a nuisance for the women, for the leading women. But here, 3 men accompanying Lucy and Dambuki. It's a help for the Kenyan. What a beautiful sight that is. The Bay of Naples to left, the city of Napoli to the right. The glorious city of Napoli, which sweeps up a steep hillside for most of the city, so that millions, well, certainly hundreds of thousands of people in the city from their properties get the most glorious views of the sea, and to the left, the peninsula, which is so famous. The views from the city of Naples are quite magnificent. Well, this men's lead pack has whittled down a little bit further because there's no doubt about it that Pietro Riva has had to give ground. Aggressive running for the lead pacemaker there, Gideon Kiprotich-Rop. And I suspect if he does falter, then Kripa will say, nope, keep it going, push it along. Communication with the pacemakers, there's nothing illegal about that. And Kripa knows he's entering uncharted territory here, because this is quick. The last indication we got was about 13:57, give or take a second at the 5K split. They've now been going for 22 minutes. And I wonder how long this pacemaker is going to last. One would hope well beyond halfway. Well, look at that shot. A magnificent sight like this hardly needs any words. There's hardly a ripple on the waters of the ocean. The trees, of course, not yet in leaf. It is, well, what is today? The 22nd of February. It's not even spring yet. It will be a month or so. It's not yet spring. No young leaf, small leaf on the trees as yet, as the masses now pour along that coast road and negotiate that first significant left turn. But here is a Nambuki. You can hear her getting shouts from the lead motorbikes, telling her she's going well, and she has a big lead. And she will be very encouraged to know that she's broken the pre-race favourite, Regina Cheptu. Nelly Cheptu as well. Well, she is further back. She was third here last year in her personal best of 69.14. But I think an Ndambuki here might be going for something rather special. So contrasting races then, to the right of picture with 23, have a breakaway, and Lucy and Thenya Ndambuki, the 29-year-old Kenyans, give her a full name, as three male companions with what? About a third of the distance done for her. And on the men's race, well, look at that pack tearing round the streets of Napoli. The small cobble sections won't be troubling them. My memories of Napoli are that it is a glorious city with wonderful weather, but it can have pretty special traffic, I can assure you. And the traffic has flattened out those cobbles in most areas where they still prevail. Oh, you want to be there, doesn't it? Remember, the city of pizza. And I'll tell you what struck me as very special when I was in Naples. Well, the first time I went out for an evening drink, a stroll and a drink, was you order your drink and then you get free slices of pizza with your drink. Can you imagine that in Northern Europe? In Scandinavia, they charge you many, many dollars for that. In London, they charge you many, many pounds for it. But in Italy, no, they just want to welcome people. In Napoli, they welcome you with open arms. Still doing a great job, though, is that pacemaker, Gideon Kiprotich-Rop. Although he's being challenged for the lead here. He's in the bright red vest and the dark shorts. He's in second place at the moment. And Kripa is tucked in behind Rop, almost as though he's glued to his coattails. They are shifting at such a tempo. The next significant split will be at 10K, and the way they're moving, that'll be under 28 minutes. Now, to be on 59.10 tempo, they will go through 10K in 28.03. I think, and I don't sense that there's been a significant slowing, I think they're going to be under 28 minutes at 10K, and that's just a couple of minutes away. Well, this is significant. They're approaching halfway, and one or two bodies just beginning to struggle there and easing away. And I wonder if that's Riva in the background has closed up on this leading five, and I wonder if that's because they've slowed a bit. And maybe that's why the pacemaker got overtaken briefly. I couldn't see who it was who overtook him, but Riva and the athlete behind him have definitely closed up on this leading 5. And there you can see encouragement there. Come on, pick it up. Don't waste all that effort. There's the 10K marker. No, it can't be 10K. It's a timing map, but it's not 10K. It's 26:38. No, that's not a timing map, but it is a significant point on the course. They're at about 9.5K. That is a big turn they negotiate here at the easternmost point of the course. They're down near the port of Naples, one of the massive economic drivers for Italy's third largest city. They can see Mount Vesuvius in front of them in the distance, and Pompeii just below it, which is, of course, that most astonishing, frozen-in-time city that the horrible eruption of Vesuvius buried. Visited it myself 5 years ago, and it makes for a quite magnificent day out. The wonders of Rome, ancient Rome, right in your face in Pompeii. If you haven't been there, you have got to go there. It's one of those wonders of the world, like the Taj Mahal and the pyramids. You've just got to go there. Why not go for a weekend and take in this race? Good job being done by Rob, though. He has pushed it along. He's trying to maintain that tempo. Now expecting the 10K marker any second now, because we're coming up towards 28 minutes. That looks like a couple of officials there, noting the athletes going through. There is 10K. I got it at 28, so they have slowed a little bit. The first 5K, of course, very, very quick, can be explained to some degree by the downhill. There's that chasing pack going through 10K at about 28.20. They're about 10 seconds down, but that's fine. 28.04 is realistic. That has them on exactly 59.10 tempo. Now, this next 5K is probably the most testing, because this is where they're tired, but they're still a long way from home. Psychologically, this is where it takes real focus and application, and you have to dig deep to hold that tempo. Once you're in the last 5K, well, then you're sort of psychologically in the home straight. You know you can give everything and blast it out. Although there is that slight uphill to be contended with, but it is very, very promising so far. The first half of this race, and what a good job Gideon Ropp has done. So they now are heading northwards again, and then they'll take a sharp right-hand turn at about 11.5K. Couple of sharp right-hand turns actually before heading out southwards again to the 13K point, which is where they begin the full return journey back towards the finish on Viale JF Kennedy. This next 2 or 3 kilometers are absolutely critical. This is where Ropp really earns his money as a pacemaker. And let's not forget there's big prize money for these leading athletes. And for the pacemaker, he gets paid well for the job he's doing. Checking his watch there. Yeah, thinking on his feet. That's good to see, Ropp. And Riva, well, this is tough for him. He's isolated in the background there. Extreme left of picture. Pietro Riva, the European Championship silver medalist, is isolated, and it's difficult for him. He needs to close that 15 or 20 meters because he's moving at the same to make his own effort. He's not enjoying a pacemaker. Well, as long as we see the kilometer markers on the course, we will be able to give you splits more often than the 5K mats which come up. Is that the 12K marker just there? They've just gone past another marker. No, that must have been the 11K marker. It was about 3103, something like that. So they've slowed a little bit. That kilometre might have been about a 2:57, 2:58, and in fact the pacemaker's gone. He's lasted to 11k. And now it's down to these four. And the worry, the concern for the race organisers who desperately want a new course record is that now these athletes will start looking at each other and, God forbid, start racing. And when you're racing other people and not running against the clock, that's when you face the temptation to slow down. I love situations like this, by the way, where you get the elite field alongside the masses going in the opposite direction, and the race becomes its own crowd. You could see there a few of the athletes going in the other direction, clapping and cheering this leading quartet. And it does look like Crippa here is taking on the leader's responsibility and wants to keep it healthy. Riva in the background, battling on gamely, trying to stay with this quartet. He's running really well. For a man who spent so much of last year injured, he just ran a couple of 3 10Ks last year. He ran a 28:16 in February, then a 28:07 a week later. And then in March, he ran 27:49 for 11th in Lille in France. That was a fantastic run for me and my personal best. But then he was injured and underwent surgery. And that surgery was to a heel and his Achilles. That was on the 21st of May, and he spent many, many months battling back from that injury. But Stefano Baldini, such an experienced marathon racer himself, a great marathon racer, an Olympic champion, wouldn't have allowed Riva in the background there to write a picture, wouldn't have allowed Riva to come back to the racing at such a high level if he didn't think he was ready for it. But this, while I said it's tough for all these guys, it's even tougher for Riva. Just trying to see who that is in the lead. The bibs don't make for communication, do they? It's funny, white writing out of a blue background just doesn't work so well. I'd much prefer numbers myself. And it looks like Andrea Kiptu it is, who has taken the lead with, 33.5 minutes on the clock. And that's good because Crippa was leading a couple of minutes ago. Andrea Kiptu now is doing his stint at the front. Owen Kapkama, to the right of picture with the red sleeves, is also pushing the pace along nicely. And in the background is that Kirui, I think, in the white vest. But yeah, I'm glad that they're sharing the burden of holding the front here, because these 2 or 3 kilometers could be the key to a really quick time today. Certainly looks like they will go below 60 minutes, barring disaster, but what we desperately want is a new course record as well. Crippa just feeding off the lead of Andrea Kiptu. He's the athlete I mentioned, coached by Berardelli, trains with Sawe, and Berardelli said he's in good shape and we're hoping for 59 low. Well, the women are on course record schedule, by the way. I'm just hearing she's moving really well. It might be only one woman out there, but she has got pacemakers, Lucy Anthenia Dambuki, and that means that we could have a brace of records today. With about 60% of the race done, that would be a race organiser's dream. And Dambuki on schedule to break that course record of 66:47 from 6 years ago. We'll try and keep you abreast of that while we concentrate in the main on this leading men's pack. And now it is these two out in front, Andrea Kiptu and Owen Kapkama. Kapkama in the red sleeves, by the way, who are leading Crippa, tucked in behind them. Great racer, Crippa. If it's not coping well with the pace, he will move into racing mode more than record mode. And he is a fierce racer. He's got wonderful speed. He's run 3:35 for 1,500 meters. That was back in 2020. He holds an Italian national record for 3,000 at 7:37. He's run 13:14 for 5K on the roads, and if you know your times, you will know that those are all truly world class. As I've written in my notes here after studying him yesterday, he doesn't have bad races, Crippa, and he moves to the fore now. Maybe felt the pace was slackening a little bit. He's been a great servant for Italy over the years. Get this, 11 years ago, he was a bronze medalist in the European Junior Championships 5,000 meters. The following year, as a senior, he was 8th in the European Championship 5,000 in Amsterdam. And then by 2017, he was taking golds. He won the European Under-23 5,000 in 2017. And it's been for the man from Padua, Yaman Baran Crippa, to give her his full name. Yamane is how he's known to his mates. He has been a fabulous servant and a regular winner of gold medals. Now, there is the leader in the women's race. Lucien Thenya Ndambuki, the 29-year-old Kenyan, is shifting really well. Unfortunately, though, on her own now, I was rather hoping she would have male company through the middle section of the race. 37.5 minutes on the clock. Well, there's that pack of men who were with her, but they're behind her now. And she, ironically, all on her own, as these top national standard athletes move through. And they're all on sub-70-minute tempo, moving really well. No wind in their faces, no wind behind them, I think, on this particular glorious Neapolitan morning. We're waiting for the gap back to the second woman here, and it is a pretty big gap. We'll bring you more splits from the women's race when we can. There's the second woman going through. I think that was Regina Cheptu, and she's a long way down. She's what, about a minute and a half down? Ah, there is a pacemaker with Ndambuki. That's great to see. Hassan, Abdi Hassan from the Netherlands, just trying to coax her along that 6 or 8 meter gap, an indication that she's struggling to stay with him perhaps on this particular cobbled section. But I think they have negotiated the U-turn at 13 kilometers. Certainly the men have. 39 minutes to the clock now. The men are at around 14 kilometers. And Crippa leading now, a group of 3, and one athlete has dropped back. Now, who is that? I think that is Kirui, the training partner of Crippa. Certainly Andrea there to the left of picture. Andrea Kiptu is with Crippa, and in the red arm sleeves, that's Owen Kapkama. So we're down to 3 in the men's race by the looks of things. Crippa waving the flag for Italy in that trio. They negotiate that roundabout. And then now in the 15th kilometer, I think. This is familiar territory for Crippa in that he ran and won here 4 years ago. And he's a nice mover too, isn't he? Very economical mover. The arm carriage just a little bit lower than the 2 Kenyans. You can see the red sleeves of Kapkama in 3rd place. He's working a little bit harder with his arms. I think his style a little bit more ragged. Maybe he's struggling to stay with these 2. Crippa, well, he will be delighted that he's lost one of his 3 companions from a few minutes ago. And actually, if that is Kirui in the background, his training partner, he's dropping away pretty quickly. Crippa now has got to keep working hard. It's the old adage of the distance runner. It's patience. It's like being a boxer. You've got to keep pummeling away at your opponents and just bide your time. Keep up the work rate, keep hurting them, and they will eventually drop back. That's what you've got to keep telling yourself. It's a psychological challenge because for hundreds of meters, kilometer after kilometer, sometimes you don't get any reward for your effort. You've got to keep working hard. And Cripper has got to keep saying to himself, I'm hurting them, I'm hurting them. I will get my reward. And maybe that's happening now, because look at that. The red arm sleeves of Owen Correa Kapkama are just beginning to lose a few meters, and Cripper may be aware of that. Maybe he senses that. These twists and turns have given him a little opportunity to see out of the corner of his eye that he's hurting these two Kenyans. And even Andrea Kiptu in second place now, right tucked in behind Cripper. And I think Cripper will take real reinforcement from that. He'll know he's hurting the other figure there, Andrea Kiptu. Well, they're still alongside the port. You can see one of the big ferries there that ply their way across the Mediterranean. In the background, the masses pouring along the road on the other side. Well, they are at about 6K. And Cripper there is at just about to go past 15K. I hope we can get a shot of the 15K marker beside the road, and it'll give us a good idea of the progression of Cripper, where he's taken that right-hand turn. I think just after that right-hand turn is 15K. Now, I've got 42.52 on my clock. If Cripper is passing 15K now, it should have been 42.04. So I think he passed it just after that right-hand turn, back towards that yellow building in the background. So let's say 20 seconds ago. So maybe he was about 42.30 at 15K. So he was on about 59.50 tempo there. So I'm going to guess that Cripper was about 15K at about 42.30, what did I say? 42.30 at 15K. Journey this. It's a tough way to run a quick time for the women's leader, Lucia Dambuki. She has got a little bit of company, a pacemaker, and Cripper here through the first of the big tunnels. The main tunnel is the Galilea Laziale. Cripper here. Just beginning, I think, a little glance to his right there. I think he got a sense that he's got a gap. No, he hasn't. No, he's still there. Andrea Kiptu, rather, excuse me. Andrea Kiptu is proving to be like a limpet hanging on to Cripper here. But I get this sense from the body language that Cripper is in control. Look at that. This is a lovely moment. The crowds there, so many of them cheering on Cripper. He is one of the great heroes of Italian distance running, probably the principal Italian distance runner through this last 4 or 5 years, and the crowd love it. Look at that, people taking snapshots of Cripper and Kiptu going by. They're cheering them on. And Cripper will have taken real sucker from that. The adrenaline will have pumped a little bit harder. And he is in control. And the red arm sleeves of Kapkama are drifting back further and further in the background. He's about 30 meters down now with 45 minutes on the clock. And as I say that, mind you, so Kiptu takes the lead. I don't know if Cripper is having a little bit of a breather there. Maybe he just wants to get a look at Kiptu and see some information from the body language of the Kenyan. A couple of twists and turns here as the crowd roar on Cripper in this two-man battle. He is 6 years older than Kiptu, 6 years more training in those legs. The national record holder for Italy. Now more focused, I think, upon a battle for the win than against the clock and a course record. Maybe the course record is just easing out of their grasp. Great running this from Lucy Dambuki. It really is. Nice long stride, very relaxed in the upper body, isn't she? Can't believe she ran 10 half marathons last year and won 7 of them. That is quite some rep. He's run a couple of marathons as Dambuki, but neither of them were very good. She ran 2:48 back in 2019, and then a couple of years ago she ran in Nairobi, at altitude, of course, in the Kenyan capital. She ran 2:55, finished in 16th place. So she's dipped her toe into marathon running and didn't like it. And maybe that's why she's now decided to focus on half marathon and do so many of them. Good guidance for the elite athletes there from the motorbikes for Ndambuki in the women's race. And in this fascinating men's race, which is building, 47 minutes on the clock. We've got about, we think, about 9, maybe 9.5 minutes of running to come. And I'll tell you what, there's a rally from Owen Correa Kapkama. Those red arms in the background. The 19-year-old is coming back at the leading pair. He's putting in a fabulous effort here, trying to come back to these two. Really good road surface here. There are sections of cobbles in the race, which are not always the friendliest surface to run upon, but this is a nice road surface. In the background there, you can see the rather glorious Castel dell'Ovo on the of Megaride. Very special part of the city, the Castel dell'Ovo. That means the Castle of the Egg. There is a story that an egg was buried in the foundations, and as long as it didn't break, the castle would never fall. And I don't think it has in its history. Well, Cripper, I thought, 6 or 8 minutes ago, was wrestling control of this race, but now he's got a real challenge on his hands because the 23-year-old Andrea Kiptu is matching him stride for stride, and in fact, in control now. Now, is it me, or do I sense there's a slight slackening in tempo here? I think they've slowed a little bit, and that might be why Kapkama in the background has closed on them a little bit. They have passed the Molosilio Gardens, the rather glorious little garden area, just past the Castel dell'Ovo. 48.5, nearly 49 minutes on the clock. They've got about 9 minutes of running to go, maybe 10 minutes of running to go. So they're at about 18 kilometers, this leading pair. Good to see them sharing the work, though, isn't it? It's not just one athlete feeding off the other. Until 4 or 5 minutes ago, Cripper was leading. Now it's Kiptu doing his share. And still the sun beats down. The temperature climbing a little bit. It's about 13 degrees now. I mean, absolutely perfect. I've been to the Berlin Marathon for about the last 20 years on site at the start. Nice cool temperatures there for the marathon races. Around 8 to 10 degrees on race morning is perfect, and it's not far off that this morning in Napoli, in Naples. Cripper slipstreaming behind Kiptu, measuring him up, getting ready for that final surge. They're beginning to approach the big tunnel on the course, the Galleria Laziale. It's about 800 meters long. They've moved away from the Gulf of Naples, and there is the 18-kilometer point. Now, that's interesting. That was about 58:22. Sorry, 50:22. 18K, 50:22. If we add 9 minutes to that, we're on 59:22, and they're moving at quicker than 3 minutes per kilometer. So I think we are heading here for something maybe around 59:30, and the course record, wait for it, remember, 59:26. It's going to be very tight. They may well still be on here for a course record, and it could all come down to this last 3 kilometers, whether or not they choose to race each other. And I mean they, and I'm really talking about Cripper Is he going to race this last 3 kilometers, or is he going to kick away past Kiptu and try and get that course record? Here they go. Approaching the tunnel now as Crippa hangs onto the coattails of Kiptu. It's hard to tell whether or not Kiptu is in control or if Crippa is biding his time and has reserves. That's interesting. A little glance over the shoulder there from Kiptu to see if he's doing any damage. I don't get the impression he's really surged here. He's kept the pace honest, and I'm just trying to see how far the gap is back to the third runner, Cap Karma, because 5 minutes ago I thought he was closing on this pair. If the camera could only swing round and show us the third placer back behind this pair, we'd get a better idea of who is going to be on the rostrum with these two. Well, there is that gap, and it has grown a little bit, hasn't it? So maybe Kiptu has been kicking on. That gap is about 50 meters, maybe 60 meters back to Cap Karma, and about 300 meters into the tunnel, Soyaman Crippa accelerated, and that was a racing move. There was a very sudden surge there from Crippa. Halfway through the tunnel now. Remember, it's 800 meters, about half a mile long, this tunnel. Here is the third placer, Owen Correa Cap Karma. He's just 19 years old. He may yet, if he can just hang on to the rather distant coattails and not allow that elastic to stretch too much to the leading pair, he may be heading here for a sub-60 clocking. Wouldn't that be special for Cap Karma? It's tough for Cap Karma on his own. He hasn't got any company. As I mentioned, Kiptu is a training partner of Sebastian Sawe and Amos and Benson, one of the top training groups in the world. Sawe, the world #1, who won the London Marathon last year and won Berlin as well. Would have broken the world record, I think, in Berlin, but for unseasonably freak temperatures in Berlin last September. He was so unlucky. It was about 23, 24 degrees in the German capital, and he still ran 2:02, the fastest time in the world for 2025. But Kiptu has been training with him, and when you train with consistent, experienced athletes, that form, that knowledge rubs off. Aha! Here we go. Crippa has got the gap for the first time. A really significant move now. 54 minutes on the clock exactly, and Crippa has about 6 or 8 meters on Kiptu. And he's worked very hard this last couple of minutes to ease himself away from Kiptu here as Crippa. And if my memory serves me right, that's exactly the point he made his move last year, in the tunnel, kicked away on the uphill from the opposition and eased away to that win. And Crippa, the European half-marathon champion, is easing away with every stride. The gap is growing bigger and bigger. Brilliant stuff, this, from Crippa. I said earlier, he's a superbly consistent racer, and he's proven that to be the case yet again. 54 3/4 minutes on the clock, and barring disaster, Crippa here is heading for victory. And it's now him against the clock, because the gap back to Kiptu in the space of about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, has stretched to 50 meters. And surely, your man Crippa here is heading for yet another fabulous win. Well, he works for it. He thinks about it. He's a great racer. He really thinks on his feet. He won that Rome half marathon title in 2024. The European Championship title, I should say, in 61:03 from 1 second. By 1 second from Pietro Riva. Riva now is a long way back down the road. I don't think he's going to break 60 today, but Crippa may do here. The anticipation at the finish line is almost tangible. He's trained the last month in Kenya, ironically. His last opponent here on the roads of Napoli was a Kenyan, but he's broken the challenge, the stubborn challenge of Andrea Kiptu, and is now surging towards the line. And I tell you what, when you work really hard and you get a gap like that, the adrenaline pumps into your veins a little bit harder because you've got that reward. There's a little glance over his shoulder. The gap at, so 20 kilometers, well, we'll call it about 56.10 at 20K. Now, that's an useful one there. 56.10 at 20K. Well, if he was on a 59.10 tempo, it'd be 56.05. Now, if my timing is right, well, this is special from Crippa. He's on schedule here to run about 59.15. This could be fantastic. It'll be one of the fastest times ever by a European athlete. Crippa here, blasting away. It is special, there's no doubt about it. What's he going to produce here, Crippa? 57 minutes on the clock now. And I think Crippa, well, I'm hearing that the women are still on course record pace, with the men we know are on sub-60 tempo. But Crippa, with about 2 minutes to run, is looking quite magnificent. Now, is he heading here for a very big improvement of his own Italian record? I think he is. He's accelerating all the time. He surged in the tunnel on the uphill. That's always tough to deal with. Crippa then, pouring it on. Enjoying this and accelerating. And this where his track runner speed comes into its own. Yeah, he's galloping. He looks quite fantastic, doesn't he? Crippa looking brilliant. I'll tell you what, the European record of Julian Wanders is under threat here. That's 59.13. Can Crippa here improve on that record that Wanders produced in Ras Al Khaimah back in 2019? Crippa, in the last few hundred meters, the time on the clock, 58.39 now. He's surging for the finish. He's using that miling speed, that 5,000 meters speed endurance. Here he comes, your man Crippa, and this is going to be one of the quickest times in the world this year. Magnificent. This is a storming run from your man Crippa. 58 minutes, 59 on the clock now. Smashes through the line there, almost exactly on 59 minutes. He has broken, he has obliterated the European record for the half marathon. Boy, oh boy, did he fly through those last few kilometers. Look at the gap he's opened up back to Andrea Kiptu. It's a yawning chasm. It's a brilliant run from Kiptu. He's going to run a big personal best. He goes through there in 59.27 unofficially. But Crippa, I got him. We'll wait for that time to be confirmed, but I got him at 59 dead. Julian Wanders on the super fast course of Ras Al Khaimah, as we see the third placer there come through in about 59.44. That was Cap Karma. Brilliant run from him. It's not only a course record, it's a European record for Yaman Crippa in Napoli. Perhaps the race of his life. That is incredibly special. Well, just checking that European record. Almgren, of course, has been the great European racer in recent seasons. Is it Almgren's record, the European record? I've got a feeling it is. My mistake, yes. 58.41, Almgren in the Swede ran in Valencia. Well, the records, the times that are produced there are just otherworldly. It's the second fastest time ever by a European. My mistake, excuse me. But it matters not. It takes nothing away from that performance. Almgren holds that European record, of course. Silly me. It was so otherworldly, I'd forgotten about it. 58.41 he produced in Valencia. But nonetheless, your man Crippa here. A massive improvement on the course record of 59.26. that he shared with Kirui, his training partner. It's now his all alone. And wouldn't it be lovely if that clock said he ran 58.59 to be only the second European to get under 59 minutes? Yes, one or two people sending me messages saying the European record is 58.41, and I am now well aware of that. Many thanks, folks. My mistake, but goodness me. Great racing on the streets this morning, which has delivered again. Matush Pal there, welcoming home one of the Kenyan athletes who's run around 60-40. The run check team have done a wonderful job once again at the Napoli Marathon, the 13th edition of the COELMO Napoli Marathon 2026. What we do need is some news of the top woman today. We understand that she is still moving really well. As yet more athletes come across the line. There's another finisher. Number 21 in that men's race is Slalom Haftu, making his debut, and he's run around, what, about 62.10, something like that, the Ethiopian. Not a bad debut. It is a race, this, which produces personal bests for massive numbers. We believe that around a third of the participants each year produce personal bests. Number 8 coming through. This is Evans Kipkorir, who did 4 half marathons last year. His personal best, 61.51, so he's almost exactly a minute outside that. He ran that in Florence back in April last year. And here is the leading woman. So she's out of the tunnel. But she is struggling here. She is slowed. Maybe this uphill for Dambuki. These last few kilometers has been hard work. It flattens out now under Viale JF Kennedy. Pacemaker, well, he's done a good job. He's checking his shoulder all the time, Hassan. Maybe she'd like him to be a little bit closer. I always think that 2 or 3 meters is the right distance for a pacemaker, not 10 meters, which has been the case for much of these last few kilometers. But he ushers her past there so she can cross the line on her own, and quite rightly so. She has dominated this race. Well, we expected more of a race. Regina Cheptu was the fastest in the field on paper with 68.26. What time is she going to run here? She has looked quite magnificent. Male comes for the whole race. It's a mixed race that is common these days. But after 10 half marathons last year, I think after this run, she can afford to be a little bit more choosy. The course record, 66.47, is still over 2 minutes away. If she can charge through this next few hundred meters, then she may run not only a big personal best here, but perhaps threaten that course record from Viola Cheptu 6 years ago. Remember, I said it was a big record by Cheptu. She won by over a minute. It launched her career. Maybe Lucy Ndambuki will get a relaunch of her career here because she's avoided the really big races. She's raced mostly in smallish races, has had many, many victories, 7 out of 10 half marathon wins last year, but her personal best 68.58, well, for all intents and purposes, 69 minutes, doesn't cut it at world-class level. She needs to run a couple of minutes quicker, and maybe she's going to do that here today. Yeah, doing a wonderful job, Hassan, here, just checking all the time that he's moving at a good pace for her. This is where she needs to dig deep and challenge Hassan, race him. Is she going to get the time she deserves? Well, so many big half marathons through this spring period. I think we can say it's almost spring down on the Mediterranean. Coming up, the Prague half marathon, the Berlin half marathon in the next few weeks. And of course, those lead many runners towards their spring marathons, be it in Boston, London, Paris, Rotterdam, you name it, all over the place. There are massive marathons coming up in March and April. Rome, I think, is in March, the Rome Marathon. Many of these runners today, of course, will be looking to use this as a preparation race for a race around their capital. Was 66:27 on the clock. The course record for the women is 66:47. She's going to miss that by a small margin. I think it's 66:40 now. So the course record is safe for Viola Cheptu, but importantly for this 29-year-old Kenyan, who's a relatively late developer by the looks of things. Remember, she's 29. She ran her personal best just last September for the half marathon, 68:58. I hope she's heading for a big personal best. That's a couple of minutes away yet. She negotiates the last right-hand turn. She's just got a few hundred meters to go. I'm sure she's going to run a personal best here. It'd be lovely if she can get down under 68 minutes. She just needs to keep battling away here. She knows she's got the race won. She's got the first place prize money in the bag. But it's a name to remember and a new name on the winners list for the half marathon here in Napoli, the COELMO half marathon. It'll be the third time in a row that a Kenyan has won. Angelika Mak of Poland won here in 2023. Then 2 years ago, Angela Tanui won in 67:04. Last year, Sheila Cheritic won in 68:20. But here comes the women's winner. It's going to be just outside 68 minutes. It is, though, going to be a magnificent run for her as we see another of the elite men go through in just outside 68 minutes. Here she comes. The timing clock is ahead of her. And the COELMO Napoli Marathon champion in the women's race in 2026 is going to be Lucy Anthenya Ndambuki. 68:58, her personal best. She comes towards the line. Is she going to get a personal best? She's got about 20 seconds in which to do that. Maybe, yes, it is 20 seconds. And Ndambuki charging towards the line. The pacemaker with her. He will surely allow her to come through the tape on her own. Look at the clock. 68:45 now. It's going to be a personal best by exactly 10 seconds there for Ndambuki. 68:48, I got it. Unofficially there for Ndambuki. A brilliant run. A truly dominant win for her. How much has she won by? Where's the second place? Or is it Regina Cheptu, the pre-race favourite? I think it is. Hard to see the number on that athlete coming through, but I think that's Regina Cheptu who's gone through. What a run it has been, though, from Ndambuki. It is Regina Cheptu who comes through in 69:26. Well, anything under 70 minutes is very high caliber half marathon running. Both those women way under 60, under 70 minutes. Two home in the women's race. So many athletes amongst the elite, and of course the masses taking advantage of glorious conditions in Napoli this morning. And the crowds along the course, I think, noticeably bigger than in years gone by. The 21-kilometre point there, of course, is what, some 95 metres or so before the finish line. And there's a strong run from one of the other athletes. Is that F7? Is that Sarpunki? Yes, it is. Susanna Sarpunki. Well, her personal best, 73:20. She's going to have broken that there. 70:34 unofficially. She's just run a personal best, the Finnish 33-year-old, by well over 2.5 minutes. That's an absolutely brilliant run from Sarpunki. She's a World Mountain Running Championship silver medalist from last year. She's a massive trail and mountain running exponent, but she has just run an international class time for the half marathon. 70.34. I think she was the third woman home. If I missed one, my apologies. As we see another one come through there. And that, I think, is Nelly Jeptu. Was that F4 going through? Another of the Kenyans. Nelly Jeptu, well, she's a 69-minute performer. So she will be perhaps a little bit disappointed to run 71.24 there. And unable to take... oh, that, in fact, that is Regina Cheptu, who's just come through. Wow. So that is Regina Cheptu, rather, who finished. And she's a 68.26 athlete, so she's finished something like 3 minutes outside her personal best. There is the odd tough race experience out there amongst all the good news stories, of course. Look at that shot. Something rather surreal about that. The shadows so special, the sunshine so special. The crowds, the 10,000 runners there or thereabouts on the streets of Napoli this morning, moving in alternative directions. Some on the way out, some on the way back. But all of them enjoying a lot of support. Absolutely perfect conditions. We're waiting for confirmation of the race results this morning. But no doubting an astonishing run. The second quickest time ever by a European, by Yaman Kripa. I said earlier on that I think the half marathon is probably his sweet spot. And maybe it is, because that 59-minute flat, unofficially that is, by the way, I think it was about 59.00, is probably superior to his marathon personal best, 6. That was in Seville a couple of years ago. But who wouldn't love to run around a sunny Italian city, the home of the pizza, on a morning like this? Well, the fastest time in the world this year by a man is 58.05 by Hagos Gebriwet. He ran that in Barcelona just last Sunday. The day before in Ras Al Khaimah, Camoro won there in 58.14. His world best lasted 24 hours. Well, taking a look back at the men's race here, the early stages of the contest, they set out at an incredibly fast tempo. 13.57, I got them at 5K. They took full advantage of the windless conditions and the downhill in the early kilometers. And then we were quickly down to a small pack with Andrea Kiptu perhaps being the surprise package here. His personal best coming into today, 61.30. They went through 10K in 28.04. I got them unofficially at about 42.30 at 15K. And then in the final few kilometers and in the tunnel, as last year, that's where Kripa made his move when it had become a two-man battle between him and Andrea Kiptu. Kripa kicked on through the tunnel, got that critical gap with just a couple of kilometers to go, and charged on to widen that gap between himself and the Kenyan 23-year-old to surge to a quite magnificent victory. Kripa had been holding something back. I think there was a quicker time in those legs today, but it mattered not. He crashed across the line there, unofficially in 59.00 for a new Italian record, a massive improvement, 26 seconds taken off his own Italian record, the second fastest time ever by a European. Personal bests for the first three there as they came across the line. In second place, Andrea Kiptu, and in third place, Owen Kapkama. And race too as Sarpunki came home behind the winner, who I think was Nelly Jeptu, or rather Ndambuki taking the women's race. Nelly Jeptu, we think, in second, and Susanna Sarpunki in third, with pre-race favourite Regina Cheptu back in fourth. We'll confirm these for you as soon as we can. But what is not in doubt is that the City of Sun, the home of the pizza, has delivered yet again. The COELMO Napoli City Half Marathon, quite magnificent this morning. The level of organisation, the racing conditions make it a go-to race. It has to be one of the great European marathons. And that's saying something when you think about the fast races in Spain and Scandinavia and the northeast of England, the Great North Run. Well, 6 years ago, this race launched the career of Viola Cheptu when she ran 66.47. That time, that race record in the women's race survived today, but there's no doubt about it that Lucy Anthenya Ndambuki, her career has taken a massive step forward this morning with that win here in Napoli. 68.48 unofficially, her winning time. 77 minutes on the clock and still really good standard club runners pouring across the line now. There will be personal bests galore today. I mentioned earlier that this race is so proud of its reputation for producing roughly one-third of the runners, enabling one-third of the runners to produce personal bests. Well, I suspect today it might be something closer to 50% will be producing personal bests. You cannot get better conditions than this. Yes, there's a slight uphill in the last 2 or 3 hours through the tunnel, but there isn't a course in the world that is absolutely dead flat. Still, they come across the line. That blue matting is such a welcome sight. Well, let's have a recap of the women's race. They enjoyed those fast early kilometres downhill through the tunnel. But very quickly, we got separation from the eventual winner, Lucy Anthenya Ndambuki. Tiny figure, shorter than a couple of her early competitors. But she eased away with the pack of male runners, including her pacemaker in the black headband there, Abdi Hassan of the Netherlands, who was her companion throughout. He did a fabulous job easing her along to a new personal best. Maybe if she'd had a race against other women, she'd have been able to raise her game a little bit. But there's almost subconsciously a relax once you know you've got the race won. And she did win the women's race by a massive margin here today in Napoli. She was indeed a worthy winner of the 13th edition of the COELMO Napoli City Half Marathon. Competition behind her, well, I think it was Nelly Jeptu who came through for second place. And in third, we believe it was Susanna Sarpunki. These positions I'm giving you will be confirmed as quickly as possible. And pre-race favourite Regina Cheptu suffering in the latter stages and coming home some 3 minutes or so outside her personal best. Apologies for that temporary loss of picture as we see other athletes coming home and enjoying their moment of glory. As mentioned, a day for personal bests, a day to celebrate life and great running. Well, I understand that the official times, and we are having trouble bringing them up on screen, apologies for that, but the official timing is 59.01 for Kripa. That a win by 26 seconds ahead of Andrea Kiptu. That's a massive personal best for Kripa, a new Italian record, of course. Andrea Kiptu, well, he improved from 61.30 to 59.27. He improved over 2 minutes, a truly world-class time for him. And in third place, 59.42 for Nkulia Kipkandi. Brilliant running from him as well. In fact, I say Nkulia Kipkandi, excuse me. It was Owen Korea Kapkamo in the red sleeves who ran so well. Just 19 years old, and for him, that is a personal best by some 40 seconds or so. In the women's race, Well, it was a convincing win in 68-48 for Lucy Anthenia Dambuki. Brilliant run from her, with in second place 69-26. Nelly Jeptu, the 33-year-old, just outside her personal best. And in third, in 70-35, a storming run, almost a 3-minute improvement on her personal best by Finland's 33-year-old Susanna Sarpunki, silver medalist in the World Mountain Running Championships. Well, she would have enjoyed that hill through the tunnel. She'd probably have preferred a few more hills, I suspect, on this super quick city of Napoli. What a day it's been in Naples. I've loved commentating on this one. Well, Naples has delivered once again in spectacular style. Mark it in your diary. Middle of February next year. You'll be able to find the date online, of course. But from all of us here, the production team, and of course, the Run Check organisational team and all the volunteers, a massive thank you to every single one of them for a great day of racing. From all of us, from the city of Naples, at this 13th edition of the COELMO Naples Half Marathon. Bye-bye.
Il progresso è un'attitudine, è scegliere una direzione, fare un passo, poi un altro e un altro ancora. Fatica che diventa nuova energia. Noi di Hyundai crediamo che il progresso sia avere un impatto positivo. Non è una strada facile, è una sfida continua. E noi siamo pronti a superarla insieme. E tu? Hai già deciso quale sarà il tuo prossimo passo? Hyundai, Run to Progress.
España, José Fernando Rodríguez Aragón, bienvenido. From Malta, Mark Anthony Muscat. Now in a few minutes we have a very crowded finish line. From Poland, Sylwia Racinowska. Thomas Kloda from Czech Republic. Ensuite, la France, Charles Garot. Eh ben nous on t'attendait sur la ligne d'arrivée. Voilà, bien fait. Lorenzo Lovalvo, Pietro Merola, Simone Mattiusi, Raffaele Tramontano. Ed eccoli il pacer del fluo dell'ora, il 24, Massimo Zanatta e Cristiano G. Forza from Czech Republic. Done. Vai Chiara, bello fatto, complimenti. Stavo parlando di Chiara, Dash, qui sulla linea, in arrivo col sorriso, questa è la caratteristica delle donne che arrivano qui all'arrivo, col sorriso, forza, è così che mi vogliamo vedere. E questo sorprenderebbe se non fosse napoletano, col numero 10, ma chi sarà mai? Ah, qualcuno mi suggerisce Maradona, ok, bene. Oggi si gioca, il Napoli gioca oggi? A Bergamo, nulla là. From Romania, Diamel Yosha. Then Great Britain, Ian Redmond. Bulgaria, Maria Nicolova. Welcome on the finish line. Siamo partiti con 9 gradi di temperatura oggi abbiamo già raggiunto, siamo già vicini ai 15 gradi, una giornata meravigliosa. Questo è Napoli, guardate che c'è. Perché l'ultimo mese diventa un po' così birichino. Oggi per la COELMO Napoli City Marathon abbiamo preparato Napoli con il suo volto più bello. Marcello Esposito, sarà napoletano suppongo, giusto? Then Jernek Rucek from Czech Republic, Simone dell'Avanzo, Sven aus Deutschland, Emilia Milanovic from Serbia, René Wittner aus Deutschland, con Silvio, COELMO Napoli City Marathon. What a pleasure to reach the finish line. Yes, you did it. Bravi, si dice qui dal pubblico. Bene, sosteniamo questi grandi atleti. Bravi. Ole Reismann aus Deutschland. Wir erwarten dich auch wieder nächstes Jahr hier zum Napoli City Marathon. Harald Herz aus Österreich. Das haben wir gerne. 117 Länder waren wir vertreten am Start. Knut Hermansen from USA. Iván Salinas de España. Y bienvenido. Dennis Heinze aus Deutschland. Der hat es auch geschafft. Mario Farrugia from Malta. Oh, Italia, Luigi Carbone, Antonio Vassallo, Mirko Fattori, Francesco Vetturillo, Lubo Strati from Czech Republic. Ed eccoli gli angeli custodi dell'ora. 30 Giovanni Cascavilla e Massimo Catena, ben arrivati. Tenete sempre presente che questi sono partiti più o meno un'ora e 50 dopo lo sparo iniziale ed è il tempo reale che vedete qui sotto al cartello della linea di arrivo, quello una presa di half marathon.
Un ragazzo incontra una ragazza, la notte poi non passa, la notte
Christoph Hummer aus Deutschland, aus er hat's geschafft. Ottavia Amanda, ben arrivata. Jana Sirukova from Slovakia. Ivor Dokalek from Czech Republic.
un ragazzo incontra una ragazza, un ragazzo incontra una ragazza, un ragazzo incontra una ragazza, la notte
L'Atletica Manara di Parma, ben arrivato. Ferrara, Michele Di Cippo, Konstantin Ziyech from Latvia, Agnieszka Faldorska from Poland. Welcome. José Miguel Ramón de España, esposa Historia. Nathan Johnson from USA. Great job. Well done. Jan Strenica from Czech Republic. Over 700 runners this morning in the departure line from Czech Republic. Thank you for having chosen Naples for your morning course, for your morning race, for your morning Sunday morning performance here in Naples.
Ok.
Peter Matthias from Hungary. Elena Matovic from Serbia. Please go on after having crossed the finish line. Go on, because we have many runners here at the finish line. So don't stop after the finish line, just walk around. Dopo aver attraversato la linea di arrivo, per cortesia, defluite, andate avanti. Abbiamo 10.000 corridori che aspettiamo sulla linea di arrivo. Anche se i primi 1000 hanno già attraversato la linea di arrivo. Siamo precisamente a 1050 dopo un'ora e 36 minuti. Fantastico, e ricordiamo abbiamo un nuovo record della gara, abbiamo un nuovo record italiano e questo è Yeman Kripa, una performance veramente eccezionale. Defiliamo, grazie! And here is the crowd, here is the hall of the race after 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's really crowded. Go on, please. We are waiting for another 9,000 runners at the finish line. Pavel Nosek from Czech Republic, Javier Romo, Simon Luck aus Deutschland, das hast du sehr gut gemacht. E anche puro sangue qui all'arrivo della COELMO Half Marathon. Andiamo avanti, defiliamo, grazie! Siete stati meravigliosi, adesso ancora alcuni metri a piedi, ci sarà la medaglia, ci sarà il goodie bag, ci sarà dell'acqua, ci sarà la nostra ricompensa. Camminiamo 2-3 passi per cortesia dopo la linea di arrivo, grazie, sempre di corsa, anche dopo la linea di arrivo. Romano Gatti aus Deutschland. Poi intanto Italia, Paolo Chenolli, Czech Republic, Elena Cemilikova, Susanna Cemilikova. All the runners are beautiful, beautiful on the finish line of the Napoli City Half Marathon. Diana Resende de Portugal. Guardate che folla, guardate che meraviglia! Mentre vediamo già in fondo qui al rettilineo i pace dell'ora e 35.
Vai! Ale!
Eccoli qui, Andrea Bucra, Alberto Molitierno e Vincenzo D'Appolito, bravi! Il partenope Face Team si seguirà adesso in 5 minuti, un lavoro veramente meticoloso dell'organizzazione per dare a tutti i corridori la possibilità di correre a un ritmo prestabilito. E per cortesia, percorriamo, andiamo avanti, camminiamo dopo la linea di arrivo, non ci fermiamo perché abbiamo tanti arrivi. La TV parte la Ligue arrivée, continue de marcher. La medaglia arriva, se camminate un pochettino, arriva la medaglia, arriva il goodie bag, arriva l'acqua e arriva un minimo di rifornimento. La vostra ricompensa questa mattina, questa domenica mattina perfetta. Andiamo avanti, grazie, andiamo avanti, sì, proprio così. Heike Benhard aus Deutschland. Das haben wir geschafft. Eine fantastische Leistung auf einer wunderschönen Strecke entlang des Golf von Neapoli.
Una strega in cima al gruppo, una farfalla che imbraccia il fucile, una
And
regina.
we've already reached more than 1,500 meters at the finish line.
Onde del mare sono una sposa sopra l'altare, un grido nel silenzio che si perde nell'universo. Sono il coraggio che
Anna Reiter-Kocher aus Österreich. Das hast du sehr gut gemacht.
vestito troppo corto, una voglia, un desiderio, sono le quinte di un palcoscenico, una
E poi abbiamo la bandiera di quelli che sono.
Baby, you make me crazy. I'm seeing roses. Baby, just maybe you save me. Oh, take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine. I got a good feeling. I got a good You got something that I need. Yeah, I need. Ooh, ooh. You got something that I need. Yeah, I need. Ooh, ooh. Take me somewhere far away from here. All I want is you. All I want is you. I want you. I need you. I want you. I need you. You got something that I need. Yeah, I need. Ooh, ooh. You got something that I need. Yeah, I need. Ooh, ooh. Take me somewhere far away from here.
Il progresso è un'attitudine, è scegliere una direzione, Fare un passo, poi un altro e un altro ancora. Fatica che diventa nuova energia. Noi di Hyundai crediamo che il progresso sia avere un impatto positivo. Non è una strada facile, è una sfida continua. E noi siamo pronti a superarla insieme. E tu, hai già deciso quale sarà il tuo prossimo passo? Hyundai, Run to Progress.